host, Josh Salmon. Well, as you can tell, today we're talking about Seinfeld. Now, to say I am a fan of Seinfeld would be a huge understatement. I'm a big fan of Seinfeld. I have board games. I have all kinds of things. Coming up on the show today, what we're going to do is we're going to go through some of the memorabilia and stuff that I have of Seinfeld, my love of the show, some tidbits about that. Second half of the show, we're going to give myself a pop quiz on Seinfeld. I haven't seen the questions. It was a quiz I found online. I saved it, and we'll get to that on the second half, okay? And see how good I really am, how true a fan I really am of Seinfeld. And then I'm going to ask you guys some questions to answer back here on the vlog, and we'll visit those next time, all right? This is Salmon Says. Now, we're going to start with my love of Seinfeld. Now, the show ran, early 90s to mid-90s, and I never really got into it when it was on. I mean, I kind of did the last couple of seasons. The first couple of seasons it was on, I never really got into it. I don't know, I guess I was just too busy or didn't watch it for whatever reason, And keep in mind, I was a teenager when the show started. So it's been off the air for 30 years. But I got into it more into my 20s. And then I liked it, after that, and then it just really blossomed into this huge, I wouldn't say obsession, but big thing with me. So I have every single episode, all right, on DVD. Here they are. I'm going to lift this up and not drop them all. You got all of them? There they all are. There we go. All the seasons, all the episodes. They have a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff on there. I put this down. A lot of, making of the show and what went into it, and where the script ideas came from, real things that happened to writers and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool to have all that. Now, you can buy the box set. I bought those, I think, mostly individually. Then they came out with this box set, and you get a puffy shirt in the box set. I'm like, man, I want a puffy shirt. Of course, I would never wear it. But, that's the way it's going to go. All right. Also, Seinfeld, keep this in mind. Okay, not only am I a big fan of Seinfeld, in college, we were doing a buddy and I used to do different voices and different comedy bits and stuff. So we did a spin-off of Seinfeld called Kermitfeld. So it was Kermit was Jerry, Fozzie was Kramer, or Fozzie was George, Kramer was Kramer. I just did the Kramer voice. We didn't really have it in Elaine because we didn't want to do a girl voice. It's too complicated. There's too much going on. Remember in the episode of Seinfeld when they're writing their own show called Jerry? And they couldn't keep track of Elaine, and she got mad. Anyway, so there we go. I have a lot of board games. Maybe you don't know there's so many board games made of Seinfeld. Lots of different versions. One I just recently got. We'll get to that. Let's start with of course, Seinfeld Monopoly. Now, there's 1,000,001 versions of Monopoly, but this is the Seinfeld one. I'm going to show you the board here. This is really cool. Lots of different things here on the board you can see. You got the car dealership, the non-fat yogurt shop, H&H Bagels. No bagel, no bagel, no bagel, no bagel. Central Park Carriage, Comedy Club tickets, Poppy's Restaurant, the cleaners. I won't go through all these, but Monk's Restaurant, Jerry's Apartment, of course you got to have. The Yada Yada Space. There is a go to jail, like classic Monopoly. Pendant publishing you can buy instead of a utility. The soup kitchen's on here, the Chinese restaurant, Top of the Muffin. Jerry's Comedy Club, George's Office. The Hello Space, free parking. It's very cool, all right? Monopoly. I haven't only played this once or twice. This Monopoly takes forever, and I need to get my family to play it with me some more. Let's go through the pieces now. There is the bro, or the man's ear, whichever preference you call. Bro, man's ear, bro, man's ear. This is a coffee table book about coffee tables. Kramer's coffee table book. Here's a little coffee table. These are the pieces in the game for the Seinfeld Monopoly here on the Salmon Says podcast. They have the Fusilli Jerry. Remember how that landed on Brent Costanza landed on it and had to go to the proctologist? And yeah, it's a great episode. Let's see here. You have the aforementioned puffy shirt. Well, I don't want to be a pirate. There it is. The urban sombrero. Elaine put it on the cover. Yeah, really. Of the magazine. Here we have, and you're like, what is this? It's the marble rye. Remember the marble rye? The episode he stole from the old lady because George needed it to get back to his future in-laws, and they threw up the window, and he had to use a fishing pole to reel it in. He turned around, they're all standing there. We'll get more to the marble rye here in a little bit. That has another game piece to do with. So those are the pieces in the Seinfeld Monopoly game. If you're a Seinfeld fan, is a must-have and very easy to find. I think most of the big box retail stores sell that as well. So that's a game with the cool pieces. One I got for Christmas is the Seinfeld Clue. All right, this is pretty cool. It's kind of like regular Clue, but in this one, what happened to Newman? Okay, it says the scheming postman knows incriminating secrets about Jerry, Elaine, Kramer, George, Putty, and Peterman. Who knocked him off? Or knocked him out, I should say. And what did they do it with? So then you have to figure out what tools or what thing they used to get rid of Newman. And there's little cards in here that do different things and say different things. Not only the suspects, but they each have little things on the back you can use once. You got your clue card. Let's look at the game board here on the Seinfeld Clue. This one's pretty cool how they set it up. So, looks like a clue board. You got the different facilities and stuff, but on this, you've got Elaine's apartment. There's the soup kitchen. No soup for you. Peterman's office is up here. You see that? All right. Then there's George's office, the Chinese restaurant, Jerry's apartment, Kramer's apartment. This is Monk's restaurant, the car dealership, and then you just have the piece in the middle here, all right, which is, I'm not sure what that is. Looks like it looks like a comedy club. It's a comedy club is what it is. And, of course, your soup kitchen over here. So you have to pick out, a place that they did it. Who got Newman, all right? Because everybody wants to get off Newman. I mean, let's say everybody just wants to bump him off. He's annoying, all right? That's the idea. A little tidbit of information, though. Off the set, off the camera, the person that Jerry Seinfeld was closest to on the set as far as having things in common and hanging out with was Newman. That's right, Wayne Knight. Him and Wayne Knight got along really well and really gelled when the cameras weren't on. They had more in common and they hung out a lot more than he did within the other cast. So look that up, all right? Very cool. Liked them all. I'm just saying he had more in common. A game that I am proud to say I am undefeated with. I played a friend of mine years ago who was a big Seinfeld buff like me, probably not as big as I am, but he knew a lot about the show, thought he knew everything about the show. Well, he hadn't met me with this game. Seinfeld. Seen it? Seinfeld. Now, there's game pieces, of course, in here. You move around the board, but there's a lot of DVD interaction in this one. If you've ever played a Seen It game, that has a lot of DVDs in it and questions. Of course, there's trivia questions as well. Every little space you move is a cereal bowl, because Jerry loves cereal. All right? So that's pretty cool. Your pieces, again, and this one are the puffy shirt. The Chinese food. The box of cereal, which you have to have, right? Here's the box of cereal. And then the cigar store Native American. Whatever you want to call it. There's buzz cards. There's regular Seen It Seinfeld cards, so these type of things like, in the implant, why is George trying to get a copy of his girlfriend's death certificate? Because he wants to save on the friends and family discount, right? So he can get a bereavement fair. There we go. See, I even took it further than that. Knew the name of the bereavement fair. I think I have a problem. So anyways, you're trying to get to the middle, like any other Seen It game. I am undefeated on this game. All right, so never been beaten. Now, one of my kids beat me on the Clue because she's awesome at Clue. She beat me on that one, but I have not been beaten on this one. And then a game that's really fun. My whole family likes to play it. It's a game called Festivus. It's not a spin-off of any other game, and it really has nothing to do with Jerry Seinfeld. It's more the Costanzas and Kramer, okay? It's Festivus. And what this game is, it's based on the one episode of Seinfeld, of course. What's December 23rd was Festivus. If you look at the notes of that episode, actually Festivus was a real thing created by one of the writers' dads. And for a long time, he didn't show the story, and then he shared it with one of the writers. Like, we got to make that an episode. But Festivus could have happened any time throughout the year in this guy's family and this writer's family, and it happened maybe a couple times a year. It wasn't necessarily at Christmas time. That's the true story behind the Festivus. You can look up the details on that. There's videos all over on that. But here's the Festivus board. Nothing fancy, and it really doesn't matter which way you move on the board. It's pretty much the same spaces. You have your Festivus card, your airing of grievances, roll again, and then your feats of strength. So it doesn't matter which way you go on the board. You just have to get 4 feats of strength tickets, and you have to win those. And then when you get done, you have to land perfectly in the square. Now, that's the toughest part. You have to roll and land perfectly in the square. And it's really hard. Sometimes I've gotten all 4 feats of strength tickets, and it took me So Funko has come out with these little characters, and I have almost all of them. There's a couple different Jerrys, but I just have this one. This is the Pez dispenser. So if you look real closely, he has the Pez dispenser in there, where he claps. Remember, he's laughing at George's girlfriend's piano recital and gets him in trouble. Elaine's laughing, he causes her to laugh. Speaking of George is getting upset. There's the George Funko, all right? Of course, you keep him in the packages. You don't play with him, because I'm a grown man. Who else? Of course, you got to have Elaine. I think there's two different Elaine ones, but I have this one. She's got her hair tied back in the dress and a cup of coffee with some glasses on. That's, just a laid-back Elaine, if you will. You've got to have Kramer, and yes, the Kramer character has the hair. I don't know if we can see that on this. It's really shiny. But anyways, he has the hair, the vintage pants, and he's like, oh, with his hands, okay? Hello, Newman. Hello, Josh. There you go. So, there's my Newman character. And he's got a little, that light is getting a little bright. There we go. He's got a postman outfit on. See, he looks like a little postman. There we go. All right. And there's one more. You got to have Yev Kassim. Remember the soup guy? Yeah. The soup guy. Remember, here's the shirt right here. See? That's how much I love it. That one actually came with this one. And then I bought the other ones separate. And like I said, I think there's 2 more Jerry's and there's 1 more Elaine, I believe, on those. But those you can find at your big box stores as well. I bought those individually. And I'm keeping in the packages because I am a big fan. We're talking all things Seinfeld. Let's give you a little Seinfeld trivia here. What was the name of the screenplay Larry David wrote in the early 1980s? Okay. A, Remote Control. B, Prognosis Negative. C, Rochelle. Or D, The Other Side of Darkness. Which one do you think it is? It was a screenplay Larry David wrote in the early 1980s. Remote Control, Prognosis Negative, Rochelle, or The Other Side of Darkness. Let me know in the comments down below. Hey, it's Josh Salmon of the Salmon Says podcast. How would you like me to do your voice work for you? Whether it be for video, for radio, for online. Maybe you're on hold music. Nobody likes putting people on hold, but if we have to, you want something pleasant to listen to, that's where my voice comes in. I've got experience in doing on-hold messaging. Whatever your audio needs, full audio production, voiceovers, and I can even do your copywriting. Yeah, if you don't know what to say, leave it to me. Salmon Says Media. Check us out on Facebook and email me at salmonsaysmedia@gmail.com. Welcome back to the Salmon Says vlog and, of course, podcast. I would be your host, Salmon. We're doing all things Seinfeld. We talk about board games, and some of the DVDs, my memories of Seinfeld. Even one of my kids shares a birthday with Jerry Seinfeld. If you look right here, I have a little Superman. You know, there's a Superman or mention of Superman in every episode of Seinfeld because he's a big fan. He owns one of the original Superman comic books, I believe, as well. So there you go. I've never got to see him in concert. If he ever, in performance, if he ever comes in this in this area again, I'm gonna have to try to go and giddy up. All right, so here we go. I've been saving this for a couple weeks. It's whatculture.com. They did a Seinfeld quiz, and when I came across it, I just happened to see the first question the other day. But so otherwise I haven't seen the quiz. So I'm going to quiz myself and see what true fan I am of Seinfeld. Here we go. This is Salmon Says podcast. You're listening on all kinds of different platforms: Anchor FM, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, and more. You're also on YouTube. Thanks a lot. I asked you the trivia question earlier. What was the name of the screenplay Larry David wrote in the 1980s, early 1980s? Was it A, Remote Control, B, Prognosis Negative, C, Rochelle, or D, The Other Side of Darkness? All right. I want you to answer me and put the answer down below, and we'll see who gets it right. I will mention that on the next podcast. All right. So here we go. What job did Jerry hold when he invented the twirl maneuver? Remember the umbrella, the twirl? Was he a newspaper seller, a taxi driver, umbrella salesman, or a movie theater clerk? Of course, he was the umbrella salesman. All right, so I click on that, and I was correct. Jerry's PIN for his bank account is named after which comic book character? The Flash, Jor-El, Bane, or Batman? I'm pretty sure this one's Jor-El, which was the name of Superman's dad. So we're going to go Jor-El on this one, okay? This is the hardest Jerry Seinfeld quiz on the internet. What was Jerry's dad's name? Mark, Morty, Matthew, or Maverick? Of course, it's Morty. And his vintage clothes, right? He sold the trenchless raincoats for 24 years with Harry Flegman or whatever the guy's name was. All right. What does Jerry place on Elaine's leg during the piano recital that causes her to have a non-stop giggle? It would be, of course, the Pez dispenser. Tweety Bird, too, if you wanted to know. There you go, all right? So it was a Pez dispenser. The other choices on here, I'm not going to read because I know the answer to that one. All right, here we go. Question number 5. True or false? Jerry is the only character to appear in every single episode of the show. Ooh, that's a good one. Because I know there's one episode that Elaine was not in. I know there's one episode that George was not in. Jason Alexander. And he says, if you ever take me out of an episode again, take me off the show. Because I'm not going to do it. And they didn't. They left him out. But yeah, there's one towards the beginning that Elaine was not in. I'm trying to think of Michael Richards. Kramer was in every single episode. I thought there was one without him too. I'm going to say that's true. Oh man, I might miss one. Let's see here. What does Jerry affectionately call his favorite shirt? Golden Boy. I haven't watched a Golden Boy episode in a while. I need to do that. I like the Golden Boy one. And when that shirt falls apart after too many washes, what does he replace it with? Baby blue. It's Golden Boy's son. It's a blue shirt. There you go. All right. I don't know how many questions we have on here. What overdue library book caused Jerry much stress during tracking it down? I just watched this the other day. It was the Tropic of Capricorn. Wasn't it? Or Tropic of Cancer? It was the Tropic of Cancer. He turned in Tropic of Capricorn, but it was the Tropic of Cancer. They almost got me on that one. All right. So here we go. I think it gives me a test score at the end. What does Jerry dare Elaine to steal from a customer's table in a Chinese restaurant? Was it pot sticker, fortune cookie, egg roll, or chopsticks? That one's egg roll. He says he'd give her $50. He goes there, eats an egg roll, walks away. All right? She does. True or false? Jerry was once enlisted in the army. That is false. It was Kramer. Character. I'm not sure how many questions we have here. Who does Jerry's girlfriend end up being romantically involved with in the contest episode? Was it Bill Clinton, JFK Jr., George Clooney, or John Voight? Of course, that's JFK Jr. Elaine's into him. He comes to see Elaine. He meets Marla the Virgin outside, and we take it from there. What is Jerry's apartment number? 38B, or 3B, 4C, 5A, or 6D? Ooh. I'm trying to remember. I thought it changed, though. I think in the first couple episodes it was something else. But him and Kramer and Newman are all on the same floor. For a long time I thought Newman was on a different floor, but he's in the same floor. I'm going to say it's 5A. It's an A, I'm pretty sure. On that one. I might miss a couple on this quiz. We'll see. Which of Jerry's girlfriends had unusually large hands which bugged him? Remember Jillian? Man hands. She cracks the lobster, screws off the beer, and he's like, that's not a twist off. Tries to make a wish that her hands, would be smaller. Didn't come true. Which character did Jerry go to high school with? Elaine, George, Kramer, or Newman? Of course, that was George. We talked about that they grew up together. Not really in real life, of course, but on the show they did. Which celebrity was not a guest star girlfriend to Jerry? Keith Hernandez, Deborah Messing, Courtney Cox, or Julia Roberts? Now, you see Keith Hernandez, he had the man crush thing. He was on an episode. Julia Roberts was never on an episode of Seinfeld. Okay? The rest of them were. So here we go. I scored 100%. Wow. I got them all right. I wasn't sure on the apartment number, and I wasn't sure on if Jerry was the only one. But yeah, I thought there was one episode that Kramer wasn't in. I know for sure there was one Elaine wasn't in. I know there was for sure George wasn't in. But I thought Kramer was maybe, but I put Jerry was the only one in every single episode, and that is true. I scored 100% on the Seinfeld quiz, all right? I'm not just making that up. It says here on the computer. So there you go. Let's test your Seinfeld knowledge. I've got some factoids here for you. And again, I want you to answer at the bottom of the screen. There might be something in it for you. I'm getting some Salmon Says merch made. All right, so we asked the question earlier. True or false, for its entire Seinfeld run on NBC, it ran as a must-see TV lineup on Thursday nights. So was it always on Thursday nights when it ran? True or false? Let me know. All right, while you're thinking of that, I'm just going to give you some factoids. The studio audience for Seinfeld taping was entertained with thematically Renaissance treats. The studio audience for Seinfeld taping was entertained with thematic treats, such as Snicker bars, for instance, after Elaine caught her boss, Mr. Pitt, eating one with a knife and fork. So they actually gave him out in the crowd. Pretty cool. Let's see. 2009 Seinfeld reunion on Curb Your Enthusiasm. If you haven't seen that, check it out. It's pretty cool. It did allow for a bit of a redo on Seinfeld's reviled finale, which I wasn't a big fan of, to be honest with you. There was no talk of prison sentences or trials, only riffs on what characters would get up to in the world of cell phones, Ponzi schemes, and IVF. There were even some direct admissions, as Jerry says, we already screwed up one finale. This time, critics agreed Seinfeld had mastered the perfect send-off at last, as only Seinfeld could, by playing itself on another show, by blurring fiction and reality beyond conception, and by being simply funny. So there we go, all right? I'll give you one more trivia question, then we'll recap all 3 trivia questions. Remember the crazy Joe Davola episode where Jerry's dating, or Elaine's dating this crazy guy named Joe, and it ends up being the Joe Davola that wants to kill Jerry? How did the real-life Joe Davola, which was a real dude, by the way, not crazy, though, a television executive, feel about his name being used for such a crazy and volatile character, in multiple Seinfeld episodes? He was fine with it. After a few episodes featured his namesake character, the real Joel Davola noticed that people treated him differently any place he dropped his own name. Better restaurant tables, better Clipper tickets, upgrades wherever he went. So apparently they thought he was crazy, and they're just like, yeah, just take what you want, just leave us alone. So there you go, all right? So, again, let's do one more trivia question here. Okay, this one and the opposite. All right? Jason Alexander found it particularly challenging to work with a reoccurring actor whose comic instincts described as complete opposite of his own. Who was it? It was Susan. So there you go. All right, your 2 trivia questions. True or false? The entire run of Seinfeld always ran on Thursday nights. Is that true? Or false? And what was the name of Larry David's screenplay? One more party game I was going to show you here. This is Seinfeld Party in a Box. This game's a little bit different. Party game about nothing. Basically, object of the game is you're trying to get points. There's the Who Said It challenge, the Guess Who challenge, Trivia challenge, Act It Out challenge. We have to act something out. And Newman, if you come across a Newman card, it's not good. You take the tokens. If you get a Newman token, then you flip it face up. If you reveal Newman, you lose 10 points. So the best part of this game is, and the funnest part, is trying to get to the marble rye. When you get to the end and you try to win, you have this marble rye bread. And you're trying to hook it. All right? But you have to do it on the ground. So it's like the marble rye's on the ground, and you're trying to hook this thing, but you have to toss this out and try to catch it, or get it on the ground and pull it, is the way it goes. So it's pretty crazy. The Marble Rye Challenge, both teams need to have at least 50 points, okay? Then you choose who's going to be the person if you have teams. Now, they can use their hands to hook the marble rye, but then must use the fishing pole to fling the marble rye so it lands within 1 fishing pole length of the finished card. That's how you do it. We've only played this once, so I just got it. Anyway, so you hook the marble rye onto the fishing pole, and then you have to chuck it, all right? And you have to get within 1 pole's length, this pole of the card. It's really hard to do, and I'm having a hard enough time even trying to hook the marble rye here for you on this game. But this one is a game I got for Christmas as well. It's a fun one. See, there's my marble rye, and then you got to fling it. Okay? So, Seinfeld, Kramer in a Box. It's got little tokens with the characters' names on them. On this, I'll let you read the instructions on how to figure that one out, but it's pretty fun as well. It's just it's a different game. The object of the game is to get your points. So you got your point tokens, your finish cards, your Newman tokens, and then there's trivia questions and that kind of thing. So I'll let you look it up. But again, it is Party in the Box. Well, I gave you the trivia questions. See if you can answer them and get back to me. You can email me the answers, salmonsaysmedia@gmail.com, or answer below here on the YouTube page. If you're listening on the Anchor or on Spotify or whatever, then you probably have to email me the answers. You can also record those on there, your voice, saying the answers to my trivia questions, all right? Salmon Says Podcast and Vlog signing off. First time I've done the vlog here this way. Let me know what you think, all right? We'll catch you next time. Giddy up.